What's better, services or e-commerce? And in this video I will talk about the pros and cons of both these different business models, and then I'll leave it to you to decide which one should you select. But I will also throw in my opinion and tell you about which one do I like in particular and which one do I focus on. So more on that in today's video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Hey, my name is Karan Dharamsi and welcome to the Marketing Nerds podcast. So let's dive deep into the two most popular business models for digital marketers: offer services or start an e-commerce store. Well, let's talk about services first. And to have some sort of a comparative analysis, I am going to take 1 crore as the sales figure at the end of the year in both the business models, and from there I will talk about what are the pros and cons and how much do you actually keep and the kind of effort you need to put in to make that 1 crore in services and in e-commerce. So let's begin with services first. I have my notes here. So as far as services are concerned, now the pros of offering services is the ticket size. For someone like me, the ticket size is usually 20 lakh rupees a year on an average for one client, right? So it would take me about 5 to 6 clients to make 1 crore rupees in services every year. That's it. Only 6 clients a year and I could hit the 1 crore mark. So that's a pro, where you only have to work with fewer clients, right? So that's the big advantage. Now, when we talk about e-commerce, usually the ticket size isn't going to be big. It's going to be in the ballpark of 1,000 or maybe lesser to about 10,000. It could be higher, but let's assume 1,000 is the average ticket size for the e-commerce business. So now if the average ticket size is 1,000, then you're going to need a lot of clients to hit the 1 crore revenue mark in the year. Of course, there's going to be repeat purchase and all the cool stuff, average order value, you have multiple products in the same transaction and all of that stuff. But the point being, you would need to have a lot of clients. The more the clients, you need to hire more people because they would need customer service. So if we are just talking about these two businesses from the perspective of how many clients would you need, services definitely wins this battle because you just need 5 to 6 clients. And even if your average client size for a year is 10 lakh rupees, you still just need 10 clients, right? So you need only a limited number of clients when it comes to services. So 1 point to services there. Now let's talk about the second and the most important criteria or factor, which is the cost of operating a business. Now when we talk about services, to deliver the services, let's say 360 digital marketing service, and let's say you are a pro at digital marketing, copywriting, you can run ads and technical stuff, great. So maybe you can pull this on your own. At the max, you may need a couple of people to help you out with managing the client communicator, and somebody who could help you with all the allied technical stuff that you can ask them to take over, and then you oversee the entire project. So kind of you could operate with 2 or 3 people max and deliver the services to 5 or 6 clients. So you don't need a lot of manpower in a nutshell. So your cost of operating the business, it's not a lot. It's probably the salary for those 3 people, and then it's all your time investment and nothing beyond that. So the profit margins are huge. It could be minimum 70, 80, 90% depending on how many people you hire, the salaries you pay out. So good profit margin. And when we talk about e-commerce, now when you make a revenue of 1 crore, you have a lot of customers and you need a lot of people in your team. 1 for customer support, 2 to do your entire marketing. Unless you're outsourcing it, then you hire an agency and that's an expense. And some people prefer to have an in-house team. So again, you need to hire people for digital marketing. You need people to manage your inventory and If you hold inventory, or unless you're drop shipping, that's a different story. But if you have your in-house inventory, or you're procuring your inventory from some area in India or locally in your country, then you need people to manage the inventory, ship out the inventory and all the other stuff, right? So you need a lot of people. So apart from the expense for the product itself, you need you have expenses in marketing, cost to acquire advertising, cost to acquire a customer, and of course the salaries, the operational costs. So your net profit a lot of times is very, very low, and even if you're able to make 5-6% net, that's great. So at the end of the year, when you make 1 crore rupees in your services or service-based business, you're looking at keeping at least about 70 lakh rupees in your pocket, taking home that 70 lakh rupees. And in case of e-commerce, when you make about 1 crore rupee revenue in a year, you're looking at keeping about 5 to 6 lakh rupees in your pocket, and the rest is the cost of operation. And a lot of times you may end up losing money even when you make 1 crore rupees because of some bad inventory issue, or a very high refund rate, your cost of customer acquisition is high, and a lot of other factors. So yes, when it comes to taking home the money, well, the point goes to service-based business model. So it's 2 for services, so far 0 for e-commerce. Now let's talk about the time investment in both these businesses, your personal time, right? So when we talk about services, now if you're completely dependent on the first model where you are able to deliver the services, well, a big downside is it would require a lot of your time investment, since you are the one who's majorly doing most of the stuff for your 5 or 6 clients, right? So in a way, you're typically not an entrepreneur, but kind of self-employed, and it's not a very scalable model. Now to scale it, obviously you would go out and hire talented people, and that's a different story. But while you're doing it on your own, you're required to invest a lot of time. So you're working a lot of hours when you are in the service-based business, and you're going kind of solo or with a couple of employees at max. So when we talk about the e-commerce business model, it really wouldn't be that you're putting in your personal time. It's not that you're self-employed. You could go out and hire people to find products and do the marketing and all that stuff. So you're not manually putting in your time. It's not like you're self-employed. Of course, you need to put in the hours, and as a good entrepreneur, you need to make sure your product quality is great, your marketing is all under your supervision. But then you're not really tied to the business. Once you create a system, and once you have the right people in the system, and your inventory flow and cash flow management and cost per acquisition all is under control, then you can really scale this and blow the e-commerce business up, which is kind of difficult with the service-based business, especially when you are doing all the stuff on your own, and the time comes for you to find people who are really talented like you are, right? That's difficult. So in terms of scalability and time investment, a big point goes to the e-commerce business model, highly scalable, not so much of your personal time investment in doing all the stuff for your business, because you can easily go out and hire people to do stuff for you. So far the score is 2 services, 1 for e-commerce. And the last point, or the last factor I want to compare the 2 businesses on, is which business can help you hit the $1 million mark faster. Right? With the service-based business, to hit the $1 million mark, you probably are looking at working with 50 to 100 clients a year. That's a lot of clients, and especially if you're delivering 360-degree DM services, that's way too many clients, and you will need a lot of people, and it is going to take a lot of your time. So that's difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's difficult to work with so many clients in your first year. It might take you at least a few years to get up to the 100 active 100 clients management mark, but it's possible, but not in your first year. 100 clients is just too much. You'll go crazy. Now with the e-com business, going from 0 to $1 million in revenue in the first year, highly practical, possible. A lot of people have done it, and it's all a question of finding those right products, having those right ad campaigns which can acquire customers at break even, and then you have a great back end where you have great repeat purchase frequency, and you have great margins, and you have the entire back end dialed. right? In that case, hitting that $1 million mark in the first year of your business is practical, is highly probable, which is difficult, very difficult in your first year, the service-based business model. So a big point to the e-commerce business model there. Well, so it's 2 and 2. And again, what should you go ahead with? It just depends on your personality. If you're somebody who doesn't like working with a lot of people, then I think the service model suits you the best, because you just need 5 or 6 clients. Of course, you need to sell your services, you need to close the client, but once you've closed, your year is kind of hassle-free, because you have those 2 or 3 employees and 5 or 6 clients that you communicate with. With the e-commerce business model, you would have to communicate with a lot of people. You need to communicate with your vendors who supply you the product, make sure you negotiate on the product pricing, the quality is maintained, and inventory is coming in time. Plus you need to train your customer support team, because they are going to be dealing with thousands of customers, and you will have customer issues every single day, shipment issues, refund issues, and that's a lot of people you need to be thinking about communicating with, not directly but indirectly, but to make sure that indirect communication from your team, the team that communicates on your behalf, does a great job. You need to be really training them, and so it is a kind of a daily communication process with a lot of people there. So I personally have and am in both the places. So I would suggest a service business model if you like working with and communicating with a fewer people. It's easier than running an e-commerce business where you have to communicate with a lot of people. Surprisingly, a lot of people think that service-based businesses is where you communicate more, because you are doing the sales process and you're closing the client. But trust me, when you get into e-commerce, that's a lot of communication. And number 2, in terms of setting up a business with your service-based business, you do not need a lot of money to start. Right? Even a LinkedIn profile is good enough. Sometimes when you have nothing, you can still get a client for your service-based business if you're good at sales and networking. But with e-com, you kind of need inventory, you need to invest in Shopify, you need to run ad campaign until you hit that golden ad where it's starting to convert. You're looking at spending at least lakh, 2 lakh rupees in testing things out. So yeah, it's a little investment heavy, not so much, but yeah, you still need some sort of an investment when you're starting with your e-commerce business. So if you were to ask me which one should you do, it just depends on your personality, your preferences. What do you like? Do you like communicating? Do you want to deal with just a few customers and few employees, or you like having a lot of employees, you like communicating and you want a lot of customers? So it just depends on you and your choices and your personality. Right? If you want to have that big number in your balance sheet where you're making crores of rupees, but then remember that in e-commerce that's possible, but you may not be really taking that much money home. And so for me personally, I prefer kind of lean towards the service-based business, because you work with limited number of clients, but at the end of the day, you just take home way more money compared to e-commerce, where you have those big numbers and you work so hard for it, but at the end of the day, you're just taking a small chunk home. And that's why when it comes to e-commerce, I prefer to build stores in niches or categories where I know I could sell the store at a 10x or a 20x multiple in a year, and then I'm done, right? So my thought process is always, which store can I build which I could sell in a year or two, acquire a lot of customers at break even or a little bit of profit, take it to about 100,000, 200,000 revenue, and then just sell it off, right? So that's me, but again, it really depends on you. And the best thing is, if you are not sure, do both. See what you like, see what works for you, and then decide how much and what time do you want to split between the two, and then take it forward from there. I hope this video was of help to you, and let me know in your comments if you have any questions. This is me, Karan Dharamsi, signing off for today. And make sure to hit that subscribe button, crush it, because there's a lot of amazing content coming up on the Marketing Nerds channel and the Marketing Nerds podcast. Bye-bye.